Los Angeles. To some, a place of opportunity. To show your worth and stand amongst some of the greats. To others, an overpriced hellscape with far too many perils to be livable. And we aren't talking about a video game just yet. For this crimson-haired archer, however, it's a new adventure. Hey guys, my name is Hash.
And I'm Bucky, and today we'll be reviewing the Burning Shores DLC expansion for Horizon Forbidden West, which sees Aloy continue her adventure in a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles.
The DLC picks up right where Forbidden West left off, giving us more context over Forbidden West's main story, while giving us a whole new map to explore. Horizon fans, ready your bows and tell your Sun King Avad to keep it in his pants, because we're heading to the Burning Shores.
This will be a spoiler-free review, so don't worry, we won't be mentioning any major story details. We might mention a thing or two about Forbidden West's main campaign though, so if you haven't played that yet, you might want to save the video and come back to it later. Now without further ado, let's get into the review. Once you download the Burning Shores DLC and start your game, Aloy gets a call from Silence telling her that one of the Zeniths escaped and is hiding in what used to be Los Angeles. Then you finally get access to the DLC. Usually with expansions, you're getting more of the same of what you got in the main game, and the Burning Shores expansion is no different. Obviously, I wasn't expecting a whole new game's worth of content with this expansion, but I definitely wanted more than what we got.
I think bare bones is the perfect term to describe it. Take what I say with a grain of salt, a lot of work went into this expansion, and you can clearly see that. But in terms of gameplay, I stuck my hand down the sour cream and onion Pringle can and found nothing but crumbs and a cold metal bottom cap. I was disappointed. Let me start with a simple example. New machines. There is literally only 4 of them. One of them is a reskinned Sunwing, another is a story boss, and the third is robot flies. Yeah, not great. The frog machine you fight is cool, but can this little wart-infested friend carry the weight of the whole expansion on his back?
Yeah, that was definitely the most underwhelming aspect of the DLC for me. I was really looking forward to fighting different machines, but the only new machine you get to fight more than once is the Bile Gut. The little flies don't count, they literally go down after one shot and they spawn out of the Bile Gut anyway, so yeah, they don't count. It's not like they ran out of options too, you know? How about a robotic spider, or a giant mechanical penguin, or even a platypus? Even though the lack of new machines is disappointing, it's not the only aspect of gameplay. We got some new weapons, and a bunch of new legendaries, but they're just buffed up versions of older weapons. We only got one entirely original weapon in this expansion, and it's pretty fun to use even though it's way too overpowered.
100% agreed, but honestly, I thought most of the weapons you got in the DLC were above average on the power scale. Obviously it's endgame gear, but the threats you're facing don't warrant such a huge jump in power, because, ding ding ding, you guessed it, they're the same machines you're fighting to get to the DLC in the first place. They felt like more of a supplement, no matter how interesting these new weapons were.
The DLC did have some new features that weren't in the main game, and they were a welcome addition to the gameplay. A cool new addition was the purple fire gleam pillars that explode when you shoot them. They're scattered around the map and are more common in boss fight arenas. I really like those because it was this game's version of the explosive barrel, which makes you wonder why the main game didn't have something similar to begin with.
I do agree, it was strange considering Zero Dawn did have explosive barrels. The feature that stood out to me the most though, was the new critical strike for larger machines. Now instead of jogging your way to your stunned foe, you can grapple onto them and come crashing down, if you're able to do a quick time. So many needless deaths, watching Stormbirds beat your insides out like piñatas, because you thought it was a good idea to stab that watcher. Of course, those aren't the only new features, but sadly, they are the only interesting ones. In the Burning Shores, you can drive a boat, but when the thrill of imagining a scurvy and cannon-filled life finally fades away, you're hit with the existential redundancy that is naval transportation. Why? Why would I ever think of riding this DIY Wish.com looking ass raft when I can literally fly in luxury on the classiest of pelicans? Once again, I just feel like the features suffer the same issues as gameplay, in that it's just lacking.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Even the biggest addition to the game, the new map, has its upsides and downsides. Let's just get it out of the way. The map is gorgeous, it's beautiful, and we can talk about how pretty it is all day. But the actual map itself is kind of empty. There are barely any side quests to do, and it's filled with the same machine sites that you find on the main map. I gotta give credit where credit is due though. Guerrilla Games did change the rebel camp from the main game. Now you have to fight devotee camps, which is totally different.
It's so disappointing to see, in all honesty. To have a map that looks so full of life and have so many locations to put cool stuff in, you just choose to leave it blank? No gags, no jokes. One part of the map is a treat through and through. The Stormbird Island. Ooh. Flying through a storm cloud that was made by a Stormbird, with a Stormbird inside of it, is a level of fear and dread that I haven't felt since I was a kid watching Coraline. It is insanely cool, and if you do have the DLC already, I definitely recommend trying it out.
Honestly, flying through the clouds might have been the highlight of this DLC for me. It's so relaxing and kinda euphoric. I would say it's the closest thing to swinging around New York in Spider-Man. Not to mention, it looks surreal. The first time I went over the clouds, I couldn't believe my eyes. Just look at how beautiful this is. Once I saw this, I immediately understood why this DLC is PS5 only. Well, that and the final story mission.
If there's one thing that's true about Guerrilla Games, they do not stray away from grandeur. The map's beauty and design truly encompasses that, but nothing really gets that point across more than the final sequence, which of course we can't spoil for you. Needless to say, I have never seen a game sequence at this large in scale that's also a fully fleshed fight. You really just have to see it for yourself. Words can't describe it without ruining the experience.
I completely agree. It's not a stretch to say that the final boss fight is unlike anything that I've ever seen in a video game before. But here's the catch. Remember when we said that this DLC just gives you more of the main game? Unfortunately, this also meant that the bad aspects of Forbidden West are also present in the Burning Shores expansion. In true Horizon fashion, the gameplay is smooth and feels really good, but the story is dogshit. The writing is corny and uninspired, and the narrative is so generic. It's honestly sad that I haven't enjoyed the Horizon story since Zero Dawn, especially since Zero Dawn's story was so good.
I couldn't agree more. I generally like to take sequels with a grain of salt, because I understand when a game delivers a top-tier story, it's extremely hard to top that. So any rendition you make may feel half-hearted to the audience who fell in love with your story in the first place. But there's a limit. There's a limit to the amount of obnoxious, self-indulgent side NPCs that we as fans can handle. The story seemed so much more focused on developing a relationship between Aloy and Seyka, a completely new character only found within the Burning Shores, than the universe-ending stakes that they dropped on us at the end of Forbidden West. Oh, the world's gonna end? Fuck you, Aloy, you're such a horrible friend for telling me when I said you're a horrible friend for not telling me. Can we really take any of this seriously when their villain is a retconned Waluigi? It's me, Walter.
Not to mention that Walter was as cliché a villain as you can get. A rich oligarch obsessed with ruling the world? Where have I seen this before? If you've played Forbidden West, this shouldn't surprise you. That story sucked too. But I can't keep talking about the negatives without mentioning this DLC's strengths. Performance-wise, this expansion falls in line with what we've come to expect from PlayStation's first-party products. Extremely polished with minimal bugs and great audio and visual quality.
Honestly, a bit surprised by that. From the sheer scale of the map, plus all the animations and particle effects they added, I thought the game would have a few frame rate drops at least. Thankfully I was wrong and it ran smooth as butter. But just like Bucky said earlier, I totally understand why it's only on PS5. A few frames of this DLC could easily cripple your PS4.
If you couldn't tell by now, this DLC is more of the same as Forbidden West. If you like the main game, definitely play the DLC. If Forbidden West wasn't for you, you might want to skip this one. If it weren't for the final boss fight, I would have been way more harsh on this expansion. But the last hour or so was such an epic sequence that it made the entire thing worth it for me.
I can't really disagree with you. a few moments acting as safety nets for a larger whole of the DLC just doesn't sit well with me. The parts we did like were done exceptionally well, but that doesn't excuse the parts that felt empty or ones that really did need a bit more work. Personally, I would have waited for a sale if I had a clearer scope of the DLC before going into it. And with that, our final score for this expansion is a solid 6. Visually stunning, but more of the same, with only a few standout differences.
If you've played The Burning Shores, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did it fulfill your expectations? What were your favorite moments? Without spoiling it for anyone else in the comments, of course.
If you like this video, make sure to show your support by hitting that like button and consider subscribing. You're free to do what you want, but if you don't, Walla Walter will visit you at night and hurt your brain with his repetitive and forgetful character arc. If you want more Horizon content, check out our video on the evolution of the franchise popping up on your screen right now. Or, if you're bored of the same old AAA titles, check out our video on Hi-Fi Rush. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.